astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope video for the week of February 5th, our first full week in February 2024, and we're having a new moon week this week. So if you are someone who is a little bit more lunar land sensitive, I want you to just be mindful that your senses, your spidey senses may feel a little bit more heightened this week. And also that because it is a new moon week, even though we won't experience it until Friday, that the lunar energy works beneath the surface. So as we're traveling this week, give yourself space to enjoy your internal land and your internal world. And also, I think really to think outside of the box and get excited about the world and the future that is to come for yourself. Now, yes, there is plenty in the mundane capacity that is going to be changing. There's plenty of global breakdown that has to happen on the way to our breakthrough, and that relates personally for each of us as well. But I will tell you, in the general cosmos this week, it's actually a week of really good energy, getting enough outside of our comfort zone and a willingness to creep outside of our comfort zone that we're actually able to meet the people, places, and things that are like our destiny meetups or who help us get to the next place that we're supposed to be going. So all of that's coming up. If we haven't met before, I'm professional practicing astrologer Stormie Grace. I am an evolutionary and a humanistic astrologer. So if you like astrology in that lens, I invite you to join in with us here in the Soulmate Family Tribe. I would love to have you. And I would love to have you in class that's coming up as well. It's going to be kicking off on March 5th. On Tuesdays, we will have 90-minute classes for 6 weeks where we are doing chart synthesis. I'm helping you move into the position of astrological fluency. If you've been studying, the planet, signs, houses, aspects, but you can't quite put that all together into the story to interpret a chart. You don't feel comfortable speaking it out loud. This is the class for you because that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to put it together, help you speak it out loud, and we're going to be in the conversation of astrology from class 1. So if that is you, click in the description box down below. I would love to have you. And whoever comes together, we're the pod that is supposed to be working together at this time. So can't wait to see who you are. As well, to make sure that you have got your astrology resource bag just, fully packed. You want to make sure you get your digital transit calendar from our friends at Wise Skies Collective, bringing those transits right to your hand. You can plug it into your own calendar and you can see during the day, okay, the moon is void, of course, and it's void, of course, for an hour, or it's void, of course, for 4 hours this time. And you want to make your astrology real. Live your astrology so you know how the astrology is working. All of that is in the description box down below. All right, into the week we go. So right here as we're coming in on Monday, the thing to kind of keep in mind is the energy that kicked in for us Sunday. And first of all, that is that Mercury, our planet of communication, decision-making, commerce, trade in the world, moved into the vibration of Aquarius. So now we've got Mercury, so our thinking and our communication, in an air sign and in a double sign. So it means that it's not just going in one direction. So when we get into air, there's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of information that's being exchanged, whether it's, whether it's with actual other people, and we think of things like technology, or we think of things like social media, social places, groupings, and things like that. But when Mercury gets into an air sign, we can also be exchanging a lot of information with ourselves. So I want you to be mindful of that this week. How often and how much are you just talking to yourself? And if you are talking to yourself, trying to solve a problem, keep in mind that you cannot solve the problem with the same mind that created it, which makes beautiful space for the energies that are coming in this week that say, let's get a little bit outside of ourselves or a little bit outside of the box we've been trying to welcome in another solution. Now, Mercury is not in retrograde in any form or fashion, pre, post, to the left, to the right, none of that, okay? So it is bringing in properly new information. It is ushering in new information into your life. So kind of keep that in mind, because oftentimes we'll see that Mercury is in some state of retrograde, so we're still working on an old project, shuffling through that knowledge. This is new current knowledge that is right here at your tabletop. So we're coming in with that in place as we're here on Monday. Now, the moon itself as we're traveling on Monday here is absolutely, I think it's brilliant. It's in the energy of Sagittarius. So we've got adventure, we've got a willingness to go beyond our horizons, and this is the internal vibration, right? So we've also got, in the general, the people around us. Everyone's under the Sagittarian vibration, which is a little bit more lighthearted. We're coming in with fire energy to start the week, so there's a gusto about it, a like, yeah, let me go this way. Sagittarius is also mutable. So from the inside out, we have access to energy that's saying, yeah, let's just transition from this thing to this thing. Now, the one thing to keep in mind as we're traveling here on Monday particularly is that if you're coming into the week with the combination of I'm thinking, I'm figuring it out, I have to solve this, you're doing a lot of talking to yourself, and then you add in the moon in Sagittarius, what this can be as a perfect combination with that thinking, and mutable energy is worry. So you can really create a space of internal chaos and worry. So be mindful of that here. Instead, move the energy a bit up and out. Sagittarius is enthusiastic and wants to see something new. So if there is something that's on your mind, on your heart, keeps coming up, you're thinking about it, look for the solution in maybe someone who's already got a solution, right? Go look for your answers in people who have the solution. If you're thinking, I don't know how to build this business, I do not understand how to put this astrology chart together, you can come to my class, right? There's a lot of solutions out there that are available for you. And if you go about them as enthusiastically as possible, from the inside out, this expansiveness and willingness to acquire new truths can actually quail some of the panic of thinking and the panic attacks that can even come with it. Now, Mercury is also going to be in an alignment here on Monday with Pluto, and I think that this is really interesting when we're experiencing this dynamic. Now, the alignment is a conjunction. They will be in a conjunction together here with Pluto. So as Mercury, that planet of the smaller mind, comes into this conversation with Pluto, who wants the deepest answer possible. We want to get into the depths, to the bowels of conversation. Where they are going to be a great combination is to do deep research, right? And what are you deep researching? Are you deep researching technology, Aquarius, new apps, new social media things, new groupings, new networks, new friendships that are available to you? There's an intensity that's available to the focus and our thinking to discover something outside of our box, new and creative solutions. You know, there's also, I think, a fair amount of willingness or intensity here to dig into ourselves. Why is this my attachment style? You know, but with this place of not beating ourselves, you know, it's not like, it's like, wait a minute, okay, I seem to have this as a pattern, because Mercury and Pluto will absolutely identify a pattern that's been happening in my life. So maybe you're writing down the story of your life and you're like, man, I really thought I was the victim, and it turns out I'm a pretty big assassin over here because I have a pattern of showing up like this. I have a pattern of Pluto mentally deceiving other people or myself, or not using my power, not stepping into it, right? Like whatever your pattern is, this is a great place where you're looking at it, but it's a bit more objective. This is Aquarius energy. There is a distance there's a detachment a little bit to it, so you can see it objectively. And it's serious. There's going to be a serious evaluation of what you're focusing in here, but you can make profound change with what it is that you discover from these two coming together. Now, in an expanded out kind of way, because Pluto is an outer planet, so we've got global energy that will be tied up in this as well. For sure, we could, in a global way, be wrapped in a moment where we are really feeling very close to our past, to our ancestors, almost as if messages are coming in or being given to us. In Aquarius, it can be messages, you know, like that gets very expansive, and that's not what I'm doing here, but it is available. You know, are we talking about things between the worlds? Are we talking about other worlds? You know, the Earth is only one small piece of this big old galaxy that's even out there. So what else are we learning? Are we getting different pictures from our space stations? Whatever it is, there's a deep truth that comes with it, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't find ourselves finding out all kinds of cool information as we're traveling on Monday. Now, we're also going to see that the sun is in a sextile here to Chiron. Okay, so the sun is bringing us light, heat, life, and vitality. So we want to be seen, we want to be known, and we want to shine here. Now, in Aquarius vibration, I want to be known with the people. I want to be where the people are, right? Little Mermaid. Old Little Mermaid, not the remake. Okay, so it's this kind of story. That's what the sun is looking for, is I want to shine in this way, but I also want to shine in my own aspirations of what I want to be known as in my groups. I want to know about technology, okay? Now that is in a sextile to Chiron in Aries. And this is so beautiful, you guys. I've been talking about this for over a year now. Chiron in Aries, because it's the wounded healer. That's the piece of us that hurts, like you push on it. Aries, my identity. You push on my identity, who I am, who I think I am, who I built a story that I am, who I've been told I am, whatever. My I am me is healed. We've got some healing that has happened here. So we're not looking at and regarding ourselves in particular, or our past, or the world around us through the lens only of the wound, you know, and through the wound, everything is very skeptical. It's very hard. It's very shameful. Here, we are looking at ourselves, we are regarding ourselves as creative, conscious, loving, spiritual beings who have healed. So we've got a little spice, a little pizzazz that we can actually bring into our world. Now, that combination coming together with the sun is like this gorgeous integration of who I really want to be authentically in my social spaces and in the world, and who I am also able to begin to bring to the table because I have done some healing, right? Because I have a different perspective of my own identity. I absolutely love this. I would love to hear about your experience of these particular aspects in the comment section down below this week. I can tell you for myself, as I have been moving and living and even showing up in our community, there's something in me that is unafraid and reawakened to the possibility that I'm more than what I thought, and that the reason I haven't moved towards it is because I was being regarded and regarding myself through the wound, that there's something shameful about how I'm made to do life, and there's this opening. And so I would love to hear about your experience in the comment section down below, okay? Now, later in the day, all of that magic where the sun is just rocking and rolling with Chiron, Venus is going to square against Chiron. Now, the squares are 911, and it says you need to do something, because when you think about the square, think about it like this. You're here, you are here, and the square is pushing down or pushing in, whichever way. It's looking to squish the hell out of you, okay? It's uncomfortable. It creates an energy of tension. But with Venus squaring Chiron, since Venus is our attracting in energy, we're calling in, calling in, calling in. In square to Chiron, Venus in Capricorn has this knowledge that it's like, this is how I thought it had to be, like very genuinely, right? Like at the bottom of ourselves, not in the intelligence. This is how I thought I had to be right in the world, to be right with my family, to stand in my own power. This was the authority. This is a story that I have authored for myself for a very long time, and thus attracted in those experiences to me. And squaring Chiron, Chiron says, you're not that identity anymore. We need a new story so that you can attract to you what is right now. But it is a vulnerable energy, because what we're doing in that Venus vibration is dropping into that sacred pelvic bowl and going, oh my goodness, this worked for a time, and I kind of don't believe this anymore. So as it comes together in this square with Chiron, as we have the tension but the acknowledgement, we are also able to have a repairing to us, to our concepts around finance, to our concepts around relationships. This is a gorgeous energy. And this can be something that is really very, it's vulnerable, right? I know in my own life, what many of the Venus and Chiron separately, but now coming together, changes have been about this idea of what and who I have to be in the world to be safe or to be acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, I am absolutely capable, Capricorn South Node, of some boss energy. Like I can touch something and make it make money. And that is a skill and it is a talent and it's just a vibration that I've grown into, right? That's what it is for me. But also, I have gotten to learn as Chiron has healed that I don't always have to do that. What if there is enough innate, beautiful value in just being feminine, in my energy, hanging out, being beautiful? And this is a wildly different experience in my life and has illuminated the vulnerability of, well, what happens if I'm not doing all of this? What happens if that is true, that I'm allowed to just be beautiful and love on others? Is it enough, right? These are the questions that come up. So share with me if that's true and in your experience base for you as well. Okay, as we're going to close out Monday, that's just Monday. So as we're going to close out Monday to seal all the juices in from that, we're going to have the moon go void, of course. Thank goodness, right? We're going to rest. The void, of course, time is about the energy. There's nothing really hopping off. It's finishing things. We're in a time where we're resting. Now, this is going to be relatively late night, early morning, getting us into Tuesday. But take the time to consciously, if you can, say, there's nothing else needed from me right now but to rest. I need to rest. Right? So give yourself full permission. Say, my astrologer said I can rest. Check. Okay, then we're going to see the moon on Tuesday move in to Capricorn. Okay, so this is a very different vibration than Sagittarius. We come into the week and we're like, it's all good. Everybody has a truth. And when the moon gets into Capricorn, it's like, no, what are we doing? What am I doing to be emotionally secure and stable? Where am I rooted? What are the foundations that I ground my emotions into to make sure that I can be successful, right? It's a very different vibration, and we kind of take our little fun glasses off and put on ones of what I like to call our ancestry, or like our foundations is what we're doing here. Now, the other thing I keep bringing up, and I'm going to keep bringing it up until I'm not, I suppose, is that Capricorn energy often gets this association as being this strong masculine energy. And Capricorn is actually a feminine sign, but it is a feminine sign of long-term lasting success, foundation, lineage, these kinds of things. But the wisdom that I have been seeing over this last year in it is the grandma from Moana. So if you've still not seen Moana, please go see Moana because I keep talking about it. And the grandma is just this beautiful older woman, and she knows the tribe. She knows how it works. She knows what makes it work, who does what. She understands her place and her role and how she serves her society. Very Capricorn energy, right? Big, beautiful tattoo on her back. I love that. But the grandmother, while everybody's doing what they think they're supposed to be doing because this is the way it is, recognizes that Moana, who is very much so a part of the tribe, is starting to get a different message. Something is different for her. She's being called to something older than what they are currently experiencing that is a part of the lineage but was forgotten. And so there's this beautiful scene in Moana where everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then the grandmother is down by the water and she's dancing and she says, for me, this is where I connect and I find my place in our tribe, and it empowers me to, be a part of the tribe. And she says, but, part of being a part of the tribe as well is recognizing when you are being called to something else that will also benefit the tribe. So here she is in this Capricorn fashion, holding down legacy, holding down lineage, and being wise enough to say, you might be called to what our ancestors used to do, and you have to go where you are called. And this is something I think about with the moon, where we also get an opportunity every 28 days in each of our charts to go, okay, wait a minute. How do I serve my people? How do I serve my community? What is the role I'm known for? And am I being true to it? And a big example of this for me was branching off from my family. My family are all beautiful human beings, loving, judges, lawyers, senators, all the like. And I was like, listen, I think that I speak languages and teach astrology. And this was a big break. And today, who are they calling? They're like, listen, I had this weird dream. You know how that goes if you're that person, right? But the courage to do where you're going is also rooted in this lunar energy of Capricorn. Okay, so we're going to be traveling with that for the next couple of days before we whip and zip over here into this new moon. Now, something else I was just gently taking note of, the moon moves so fast that I don't always try to cover that, but I can see that the moon is in a really nice connection here with both Saturn and Jupiter. So in this way, it's actually kind of interesting because first of all, Saturn and Jupiter are sitting in sextile, a really friendly, useful, helpful, like we're cool kind of energy with one another. So as Jupiter and Saturn are good with each other, especially because they're transpersonal planets, it is good for outside decisions, or it is good for letting things move a bit more easily, because typically Jupiter is the gas and it's like, let's go, let's get bigger, let's do the most. And Saturn is like, sit down, we need to do less, minus, add. So you've got the gas and the brake that can obviously not, if you push them both, the car is not going anywhere. That's what it comes down to. And instead here, it's like they're in a nice balance. So you can coast, you can do things, you can drive, you can see the scenery. They're like, yes, it's a very nice energy for us to experience. And in connection with a moon that is also in Earth, it's like you feel steady about decisions that you want to make, about opportunities you're considering taking on, about something you'd like to put your focus to. Like, you feel good about it. Even if you don't have all the answers, you're like, okay, I can do something useful with this. And I'm telling you, if you feel like you have questions and you need a solution, go and listen to the content. Curate your digital feeds to bring you people who have solutions or have found a way out of what you're currently struggling with. This is great because I don't know that you solve anything. The world doesn't just pizzazz for you on Tuesday, but these energies moving together are helpful to one another. So I'd love for you to just really take advantage of that, okay? Now, that's not all, friends. We also see that Venus is in a square to the nodes at this time. Okay, so Venus, again, this attracting energy is still rock and rolling in this Capricorn energy, not yet into Aquarius. But squaring the nodes, we have tension with destiny. This is the other reason I say that I don't know that Tuesday you figure it out. It all just pops into clarity for you. But there is this messaging for us that's like, how you've been doing this is not working. And while there's not perfect clarity on where to go next, I think that square makes you look around and go, what I'm listening to, who I'm engaging with, this is not right. This will not work for me, right? Now, the other thing that I think it brings to the attention is that because there is still this square with the North Node, is this sense of, all I know is that, yes, it's not working, but kind of this vulnerable feeling of, how do I get where I want to go? And this, even if it feels crunchy, does open the door, because the North Node always has a destiny person waiting on the other side, waiting to emanate this energy and help us move forward where we need to go. So something I want you to pay attention to on Tuesday is that, first of all, this is the first hit that we're going to get of this. We're going to see this again in June, and we're going to see it in the end of the year in November. So what is starting for you here on Tuesday, February 6th, where you're feeling a bit crunchy about the direction to go, even though you know it's the way to go. And yes, I don't know what I'm doing, but how? How do I get there? How? Why do I want to go there? Right? Because when we figure out the why, the how becomes a lot easier in my experience. Okay, now we have got the sun, though, in trine. The sun is wonderfully in trine to these particular node energies, and I think this is good. So the sun is actually, let me be very specific. The sun is in a trine to the south node, but it is in a sextile to the north node. So that I want to be energy is sextile to the north node. There is a pocket of opportunity, and you can intelligently take action on it. This is where I'm telling you, go. Your soulmates, your next soul connections, your teachers, that person that even if you're having to crunch through yourself and go, I don't want to not know how to do this. Go to that person. The opportunity is set up for you. And when it happens, you're going to have this release of energy like, okay, maybe that wasn't the worst. But again, look for your next pocket of opportunity to actually be on the road of your destiny June 12th. Now that trine to the south node makes it easier to see why what you're doing or how you're in relationship to something is not working. Okay, so it's a really lovely setup. The universe is kind. It really is. It's kind, it's loving, it's supportive. It's not going to put you out there and be like, best wishes, figure that out. You know what I mean? There's a lot of helpers along the way. Okay, when we get to Wednesday, we're still traveling here with this energy of practical Capricornian vibration, and the moon and Venus have had a conversation because they've been in an interaction. So I think there's this place of not only creativity, but an inside knowing that you are coming into a different structure of relationships and understanding of things of value in your life, which I think is actually incredibly useful. Now, on Wednesday, Venus and Uranus are in conversation, and it's good. It's a nice conversation, but it's also the kind of conversation that when Venus is in a trine to Uranus, we go, yeah, all right. I'm willing to let the universe surprise and delight me, or something creative or surprising comes up, or I'm willing to try something else. I'm willing to get something else in my vibration to attract a new experience to me. You see what I'm saying? This week is actually really interesting that the energy is good, but it keeps calling on us to go, well, what are you attracting in? Venus has got a huge place on the stage this week. Now, also Venus trine Uranus, Venus is still Venus. You could start making money in really interesting ways where you're like, I did not see that coming at all. Or maybe it's something more connected to a grouping or something in social media. You could also have the most unconventional person come towards you, and you're like, oh, I'm in love. I'm just in love. There it is, right? Unconventional energies come our way. But remember with the trine, it's a pocket of opportunity that is available. But with the trine, you have to go to the opportunity. It's not like that sextile where we're like, yep, I see it, I'm taking it. You have to go to it because sometimes the energy is so easy or so different or so available that we don't do anything with it because it's like, that would be too simple. Like it cannot literally just be walk across the street and there's my answer. Now we'll see this kicking off today. We'll see it again in August and we will see it again in December. So make a little bit of note. What are you trying different? What's the unconventional relationship that's coming into your life at this time? Okay. We're going to also see here that Mars is in a wonderful sextile conversation with Neptune. Sextile, pocket of opportunity, but we will intelligently take action with it. Mars is our planet of action, right? It's action, it's doing, it's still in the vibration of Capricorn, and it's very comfortable there. So it is doing, it is building something solid. It is listening to the new authority. It is doing these kinds of things. It is making solid for us, okay? Now, Neptune is the space of ideas and ideals. It moves in between the worlds. There's a lot of spirituality, subconscious, unconscious. And I will share with you that I think it is a terrible idea to try to make Neptune do, be, smell, feel like what you thought it should be. In the world of Neptune, you have to learn to flow. So as Mars and Neptune come together, first of all, your actions may become incredibly inspired or intuitive. I think that it's a great day. It's a great moment to be in the music you love, to be in the spiritual practices that you love, to call those things up and out of you. But it's also a day where your ego, Mars also, can be dissolved just a little bit, and it's not so threatening to you. It's like, okay, all right, it's a powerful energy because anytime a human being can honestly change their mind about something that we were so sure of, or we can let the spirit of invention and intuition and inspiration wash over us while we are changing or while we're moving something forward, this is really powerful energy, I think. So as these come together, you get a new creative idea. You're like, okay, that's right. Yeah, this person who I didn't know what I was doing and I listened and they said I could try this and I didn't like that because I was crunchy. And now I'm a little I'm a little bit willing. I'm willing to try that. I'm willing to put on, a little Luther in the background as a little Jack Harlow loving on me and try something new. I'm willing to take healed, healing, intuitive, inspired action. I absolutely am pumped about that. Obviously, I'm pumped about it. Okay, so we're going to be working with that all of Wednesday. Now, Thursday, we come in and we've got this void, of course, moon that's going to sit down with us, and that's absolutely beautiful, so we'll enjoy that. Then we see the sun in a square to Uranus, getting us ready for this new moon that is also going to have this signature in it as well. Okay, when the sun is squaring to Uranus, we've got light, heat, life, and vitality in Aquarius, squaring its ruling planet, one of its ruling planets. So first of all, there's a fair amount of intensity there. And as these two are squaring against each other, right, I really think of it this way as kind of like, in its own way, like the parent and the child are absolutely similar, but one of them, usually the child, wants to rebel. Right? So it's like, yep, you told me it was supposed to be like this, but I am going to do it this way. So first of all, we need to understand that the amount of unpredictability that is in the sky for the next 48 hours is immense. And a biggest piece of the unpredictability, I think, can be the space of, this is me. This is my autonomous, independent, individual self. This is my identity, healed, right? We're working for that Chiron, healed, wonderful sextile over there. But my society, my group that I'm in, my whomever else is the they, doesn't agree with who I am. And this can become, what it brings is uncertainty. It can bring uncertainty. It can bring fear. It can bring a space where we have to ground down, like Moana's grandma said, and say, who am I? What am I really called to? And also, I think that that's a big question. Am I really called to this, or am I just looking to start some poo? Am I looking to get a rise? Or is this from the core, in my reflection, who I am, what I'm about, what I'm trying to be? Is my intention pure here with what it is that I'm doing, being, growing, having, selling, whatever that is? Because if that's true, what this particular square will require is, first of all, the tension, but the action to get out of the square here is to hold tight and realize you are going to be the monster in somebody's story. And you guys, I have to tell you, really from a gut level, and I have a lot of Venus in my chart, that is still one of the hardest concepts for me to work with today, is that I am going to be the villain in someone's story, not because I'm a bad guy, but because I'm just being me. And by being me, that will create disruption in someone's life. It will. It will. And that's me being the best version of myself. So, I think we all come up against that particular vibration, and we will see it again when we get to August. So you need to know that this is not the last, bout of this particular energy. But, who are you? Who are you holding tight to? Now, Mercury is also nicely involved here. Yeah, so Mercury is a bit in the mix with this one as well. So your feelings, your thought and your feelings might be getting a little wrapped up together. So I'll just tell you, in the end, you got to hold tight to who you are, but make sure that who you are and what you're fighting for is really who you are and what you're fighting for. You're not just looking to rebel because you don't have anything to do, or you're looking to rebel because you're replacing a different feeling of inadequacy or something like that. Rebel because it's what's really full in your heart. All right. And then the moon's going to move into Aquarius. So behind all that, the moon will move into Aquarius, and now the tone in general is a little bit more detached. And I think that we need that. It's like, okay, hold on. Where am I being rigid? Where is my thinking too much? Where am I holding on to an emotion, moon, that I'm just holding it to hold it? Because sometimes the only real part we play in the drama in our lives is to continue bringing it up, to continue the attachment to it because it's feeding us in some way, right? Like being mad at my mother, she's the worst thing ever. I get something from that. I get a spark to be able to do life. So where can I, with the moon in Aquarius, have a bit more detachment about whatever this is out here and look at, okay, am I being too rigid? Am I being too rigid in my thinking? Am I being too rigid in my thinking about me? And also, where can I just have some fun? Aquarius is a fun energy. Teamwork makes the dream work, but like, let's go have fun together. So we get that vibration in place, and we will experience that and explore with that all of Thursday. Now, Friday, we see the new moon pour in, okay? And we've got the new moon lighting up here at 20 degrees of Aquarius. So first of all, it is the new moon. So we're planting our seeds of intention to begin something new. Now, remember, we plant at the new moon in the dark. It's in the dark, so you don't know what's down there. So what happens, and just close your eyes and feel this through with me for a minute. But what happens at the new moon is literally you walk into a room, it's dark, and so you're doing this. You're like, okay, I have to listen. I have to hear. I have to turn off the senses of my physical eyes. And I have to also let my feet move forward baby step by baby step, but there's an excitement about it, right? I'm moving with a sense gone for me. There's a sense of anticipation of, oh my gosh, is the floor going to fall out? And Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, as he's going across the bridge that he doesn't even know there was a bridge there. There's that sense of anticipation. This is the new moon vibration, okay? So I want you to hold that in yourself, have a somatic experience with that. And remember that this is Aquarius, this is a new moon. So what you plant for good or for ill, you're going to be working on for some time. But in Aquarius, I'm planting my seeds of intention to surround myself with the communities, with the tribe, with the organizations, with the social spheres that I want to be aligned with because I am one of them. And some of us are going to find out we're part of groups, we're part of tribes, we're part of organizations that we never even wanted to be a part of. I think of a client who said it's okay if I share, but she found out that she's an overeater. She was like, I don't want to be a part of that, but it turns out when I'm with those people, I learn things, we work on things that are happening in my subconscious, I get some detachment to it, and I find myself not eating like a crazy person, and I feel calm with them, right? So sometimes we find out we're part of groups that it's like, yeah, no, I wasn't really looking for that because that's not cool. So where do you find yourself at this new moon being willing to plant your seeds of intention, to think outside of the box in order to be in the right alignment with people who actually inspire your soul and change the direction of your life? Now, also keep in mind to go back and watch the new moon video that I put up, because I talk all about the lunar family that is very wrapped up in this particular moon, because we're going back. We're looking at the lunar family that is involved in this particular one, but also the lunar family that we're going to be looking at coming forward until 2026, okay? All right, so we've also got Mercury square Jupiter going on at this time. That Sun-Uranus dance is happening, but Mercury square Jupiter, this is the thing I want to share here. Moderation. Moderation. We're being given information, and that's fine. Mercury bringing the new information in, especially at this moon, right? And then Jupiter can really just make it big and expansive, and it gets too big, too fast, or it has been too big and too fast. And Mercury's bringing in new information that is like just detached enough from the way we've been thinking, behaving, doing something. And it says, hey, Jupiter, that's kind of a lot. And here under this square, we have to adjust. We have got to change and course correct our behavior to have some kind of moderation. And I think one of the easiest examples to share here, especially because this is a fixed energy. This is a fixed square between Aquarius and Taurus. So what's been going on has been going on for a long time, because fixed energy is not just popping up with new stuff. You know what I'm saying? So a great example is, I have really been loving getting the apps, Aquarius, okay? Mercury and Aquarius. I've been loving getting the apps. I'm seeing a lot of value in it. Or I've found a lot of different pieces of myself that I want to share with people, and that could be valuable. And that Jupiter and Taurus has brought all these beautiful skills and talents that are valuable to the surface, but it's too many. And Mercury is like, we have to simplify. Those are great, but we just need like one or two. We can't be going in 6 different directions, because then nothing will get done. Or, we see an old story that we had, or even a current story. This is how this is. I consistently think I know what my husband thinks, and regularly it's wrong. So, but I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. It gets really big really fast. So under this particular square, we are looking for the big mind and the small mind to relieve the tension by taking an action of adjusting. Create realistic Create realistic expectations, create realistic plans against what you are doing. Like, bring it down to moderation, because if it gets really big, the overload that's going to come in there is absolutely incredible. And that is the energy that is, we're working with all of that on Friday. Now, going into Saturday, we see a really nice void, of course, before the moon comes here into Pisces. So again, in your void of course time, please rest. Please let things settle. Please let, everything that's been percolating, like let the sediment come to the bottom. Okay. Now on Friday, when we get the moon into Pisces, now we're in more of an intuitive place. We're dropping out of the place of the head and needing to talk about everything. The moon in Pisces, we're feeling through things. It's just so different. And we've had this new moon in this absolute abundance of energy in Aquarius. So to drop just from the head into the heart, into the space, into the spirit a little bit more, maybe something you're really craving and wanting to call in and experience as we're here on Saturday. Now, I'm also seeing here that besides getting away from some of this intellectual energy, that Mercury-Jupiter square is still really in play in Saturday. So again, if you could just be kind of low key, if you can move things forward if you want to, but you need to be like in some kind of intuitive alignment with it. If not, the word I keep seeing is if you're thinking it's greater than it is, or you don't have some kind of moderation, disappointment is what comes, especially with that moon in Pisces. So you may be looking at where you have to cut back. And of course, in Pisces, we're dealing in between the worlds. So where does your ego have to get cut back? Maybe it would serve you better if you weren't hot tacos. Maybe if you weren't the best thing going. Maybe if you didn't know all the things. Maybe your ego needs to be cut back and you got to stop pretending you don't know that you're good at what you do. Whatever it is, the cutback may be very real there. Now, to help with that, I think to soften that a little bit, or to help bring some steady to it, Saturn is continuing in the vibration of Pisces. Okay, and Saturn says you have to stop talking about it and you have to be about it. So as Saturn is coming here, there is a seriousness about it. So we laugh as we're here, in the weekly, but when you're in the moment and what it feels like to be taken down a notch, or to get in alignment with reality instead of just the story of the ego or the mind, is something very different. This is a very different vibration, but man, it sure can be freeing once we have that acceptance and put it into place and we can move forward. Okay. Now, finally, when we get to Sunday, we've been doing a lot. We have done a lot since Monday. So as we get here on Sunday, we're going to see the moons continuing through Pisces, very sensitive kind of energy. So I also think in the Pisces vibration, it's great to see where you need to set boundaries. Where do you need to set boundaries with yourself? And you need to set boundaries with others. And when I say setting boundaries with yourself, something to consider under the Pisces moon is, where have you made promises to yourself that you just haven't kept? Because this can be a place where you can even work on the boundaries and the discipline, Saturn and Pisces, with yourself. But it's a great day to also see what do you need to release? Now, the moon is going to come in contact with Uranus over in Taurus, and this is great. I think it's great. I have Uranus at the IC, so I like a little excitement. This is why I watch K-dramas and Thai dramas, and I really like those Turkish dramas too. I like a little zhuzh, okay? But this is like emotional excitement. There's a little something going on. There's a little something coming up for me. But also it makes us willing to try something new, to have a different, even internal experience. So I'm really curious to see what this Moon-Uranus combination brings in for you in your experience. Because in this sextile, because Uranus is over in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus has risen to the surface all sorts of gems and jewels about you that are really, you didn't know they were down there, but they're definitely yours to work with. But it's also risen the skeletons to the surface, where it's like, I've been sitting on that for 50 years and it's really not valuable anymore. And the only way for me to get free from it is to uproot that son of a gun and throw it out with the bathwater. Let it be transmuted. Let it be culminated in the moon in Pisces, right? So let me know what your Uranus Pisces experience is looking like in the comment section down below. All right, my beautiful friends, if you have not checked out your new Moon in Aquarius video where I just focus on that moon, you want to check out that video next, and I'll make sure there's a card here. I will make sure it's at the end of the video as well. And if you've already done all of that goodness, please make sure that you go check out the Chiron in Aries video that I did. Oh, it was so cute, 5 years ago, me, but talking about the transit of Chiron through Aries all the way until 2027. And make sure you leave me a comment to let me know what your experience of Chiron in Aries is. Share it with our community. We're all growing. We're all changing the identity. The wounds are healing. So let's see who we're growing up to be, okay? All right, beautiful friends, I love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.